strongly encourage everyone to stay home if you do not have to be out.
Everyone to stay home tonight after rapper Young Dolph is gunned down in
There will be extra police presence in many parts of the city that might have a connection to the popular rapper to make sure there is no more violence. Several public officials calling for a curfew tonight, fearing acts of retaliation in certain parts of the city after Young Dolph is shot and killed.
Well, at least 5 police sources have confirmed with Fox 13 that the person is Anthony Mims, also known as Big Jook. Now, Big Jook is the brother of rapper Gotti.
Taylor, also known as CEO TZ, was found shot to death in Orange Mountain.
I didn't know that Dolph was loved like this. They've literally been Memphis for 3 straight years since Young Dolph died. I've never seen something like this.
If you want to see just how far some people will go to avenge their own, just look at what happened after Young Dolph's death. When Dolph was tragically offed, his friends didn't just settle for revenge. They went all out, turning Memphis into one of the most violent cities in America. That might sound extreme to some, but if you're not from Memphis, you probably don't get it.
Several public officials calling for a curfew tonight, fearing acts of retaliation in certain parts of the city after Young Dolph is shot and killed.
Young Dolph wasn't just another rapper. He was the rapper for Memphis. They called him the King of Memphis, but to many he was more than that. Some saw him as a prophet, a saint even. He wasn't just about his music. He was known for his generosity, always giving back to his community right up until his final days. People loved him deeply for that. So when the news broke that Dolph was offed, things were bound to get ugly. It wasn't just about losing a rapper. It was like Memphis lost one of its own heroes, and Memphis wasn't going to let that slide. Even the police saw what was coming. They warned everyone to stay inside unless they absolutely had to go out.
Tonight, we strongly encourage everyone to stay home if you do not have to be out.
Everyone to stay home tonight after rapper Young Dolph is gunned down in
They knew retaliation was inevitable, and they weren't wrong. Ever since Dolph was taken out, his people have been on a mission, spinning blocks and making sure everyone even remotely connected to it feels the heat. Say the wrong thing, you're gone. Move funny, it's over. Even being affiliated with Dolph's biggest rival, Gotti, has been enough to put people in danger.
Well, at least 5 police sources have confirmed with Fox 13 that the person is Anthony Mims, also known as Big Jook. Now, Big Jook is the brother of rapper Gotti.
This is just scratching the surface of what's been going on, so let's break it all down. Young Dolph's tragic emder on November 17, 2021, rocked the hip-hop world and devastated his hometown of Memphis. He was shot 22 times in broad daylight, and his loss left a massive void, not just in music but in the community he loved so much. Dolph wasn't just a talented rapper. He was also a businessman, a philanthropist, and a proud advocate for his city. He carried Memphis on his back, and his commitment to giving back was unmatched.
It was good to the city, you know. It's good in the neighborhood, always give it back to this neighborhood, always give it back to his community.
Dolph was always about uplifting his people. He consistently gave back, whether it was through distributing Thanksgiving turkeys in Memphis, donating to schools, or helping out individuals across the country.
He is known for giving back to his community here in Memphis. Every year he gave out turkeys for Thanksgiving through Memphis Athletic Ministries. In fact, he was set to have a turkey giveaway.
He was deeply involved with the Ida Mae Foundation, named after his grandmother, which focused on supporting Memphis through charitable initiatives. He didn't stop there. When 2 baristas at Duke University got fired for playing his hit song Get Paid, Dolph gave them $20,000 out of his own pocket.
He fired 2 workers from a coffee shop for bumping my shit.
Every year, Dolph played Santa at Memphis's K97 radio station, handing out gifts to underprivileged kids. Radio host Mick T summed it up perfectly when he said, "That South Memphis kingpin that always gave back to the community. Putting his community first, putting the city first, he carried that Memphis flag across the nation." That was Dolph, always putting Memphis on the map, always representing his roots. His love for his city was clear when he donated $25,000 to Hamilton High School, his alma mater saying, "I do it for the kids and the youth, and they look up to me. It would be a different thing if I didn't know it or I didn't think it. No, they literally look up to us." He also quietly helped out in ways many people didn't know about, like paying rent for senior citizens and covering funeral costs for families in need. Even 2 days before his death, Dolph was still giving back. He visited the West Cancer Center and Research Institute in Germantown, where he thanked the staff for their hard work. Dolph shared how personal the visit was to him. His aunt was currently receiving treatment there, and both his grandmother and uncle had been treated at the same clinic in the past. "I just really wanted to show up and show them my support and show them how thankful I am, just for them being there," he said.
I decided to visit West Cancer Center and Clinic today just to show my appreciation for over the years. My aunt, she's currently here. She has cancer. My grandmother had cancer. My uncle had cancer, and they all came through these doors. And I just wanted to show up.
Now imagine all that. A man who was a literal hero to his people, a man who inspired and gave so much, being taken away forever. The pain was unbearable for Memphis, and what followed was a level of chaos the city had never seen. People were heartbroken, angry, and ready to make sure Dolph's death wasn't forgotten. What started as grief quickly turned into what many now call slide for Dolph. In the month following Dolph's murder, Memphis became a war zone. Retaliation after retaliation rocked the city, with at least 40 people believed to have been offed in connection to the tragedy. Memphis skyrocketed to the top of the list of the most dangerous cities in the country. But just how many lives have been lost in the wake of young Dolph's death? Let's find out.
I didn't know that Dolph was loved like this. They've literally been Memphis for 3 straight years since young Dolph died. I've never seen some shit like this.
The first person to face the consequences of young Dolph's murder was a stark warning for anyone who had anything to do with his K-ing or even knew the people involved. Comedian Darian D. Money Childs learned this the hard way. He decided to make a joke online about Dolph's death, thinking it would just blow over. But the streets don't forget, and they sure don't forgive. Just a week after he posted that joke, Childs was gunned down. His death was just the beginning of a series of violent acts that showed the world just how serious Dolph's crew was about avenging their fallen brother. It wasn't long before another high-profile target was taken out. In January 2022, Big Nusky, a rapper signed to Moneybagg Yo and the cousin of Big 30, was shot and K-worded at the New Horizon River Apartments on Kazasa Road. It was around 7 p.m. when the bullets started flying, and when the shooting stopped, Nusky, a 26-year-old man, was left dead. Now, Big Nusky wasn't just some random target. Word on the street was that he had connections to Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, who was one of the main suspects in Dolph's murder. This wasn't just idle talk either. There were photos circulating that showed both Nusky and Straight Drop posing in front of the same car. People started putting 2 and 2 together, thinking there might be more to this story. After Big Nusky's death, Straight Drop posted a picture of him online with the caption, "Lost my brother fighting to keep my head up." The pain in that post was real, but Dolph's crew wasn't done yet. The people charged with Dolph's murder, including Straight Drop, were allegedly linked to CMG and Yo Gotti, but their connections ran deeper than that. They were also tied to a Memphis gang called the Trula Mafia. Joshua Taylor, also known as CEO TZ, was the OG of that gang, and he was on the police radar for being involved in Dolph's murder. However, TZ's time was running out. On June 14, 2023, police were called to Spotswood Avenue near Bunton Street around 12:56 p.m. about a man down. When they arrived, they found Taylor with gunshot wounds, already dead at the scene. Word is he had actually been shot the night before, but his body was only discovered the next afternoon in a car near a church.
Vitalis Taylor, also known as CEO TZ, was found shot to death in Orange Mound Wednesday at Spotswood and Bunton. Those who live nearby tell us Taylor was actually shot the night before, discovered lifeless.
The cycle of revenge didn't stop there. The next shocking casualty was a female rapper, Destiny Golden, aka Lotta Cash Desto. Her murder demonstrated that no one was off limits. On September 24, 2022, Desto was with a female friend in the 5500 block of Richmond Avenue around 2:40 a.m. when they stopped behind a dark 4-door vehicle at a traffic light. 2 male shooters emerged from the dark vehicle, walked up to Desto's car, and opened fire, K-ing Desto and injuring her passenger. This attack led many to believe it was another act of retribution for young Dolph's murder. In a twist that nobody saw coming, another person linked to orchestrating young Dolph's hit was none other than Lauda Cash Desto's father, Hernandez Govan.
Govan asked for young Dolph to be.
Mr. Govan has been indicted and is in custody for being involved in the young Dolph. He played the role of the person who solicited.
After he was arrested, he posted online, hinting that his own actions might have led to his daughter's tragic death. It seemed like the pieces of this deadly puzzle were falling into place, with every new victim connecting back to Dolph's murder. Dolph's people were relentless, and their next target proved just that. On August 18, 2023, the Memphis Police Department reported that gunfire erupted around 9:30 a.m. at a BP gas station on South Parkway East. Officers responded to the scene and found a man with a fatal gunshot wound, Tamanuel Benson, Black Youngsta's brother. The shooter didn't even bother masking up, and the police had a clear image of him, which they released to the public along with a $5,000 reward for information. This brazen hit, carried out in broad daylight, was another message that Dolph's crew wasn't playing around. Tamanuel's death pointed fingers straight at Priyat, Paper Route Empire, Dolph's crew. Black Youngsta had a long-standing beef with Dolph, initially inherited from Gotti. Back in 2017, Black Youngsta was arrested for an attempt on Dolph's life when over 100 shots were fired at Dolph's black SUV. The feud between Black Youngsta and Dolph had been intense, with Black Youngsta always ready for a showdown.
Right now, cuz. We in Castain right now, cuz. What Dolph at, cuz? Where he at, cuz? Where he at? Where he at right now? Where he at? Where he at? Where he at?
Now he was left to grapple with the pain and anger of losing his brother, caught up in the vicious cycle of revenge allegedly carried out by Dolph's people. Throughout all this chaos, the main figure in the CMG, collective music group beef with Dolph, Gotti, seemed untouched by the retaliation, but Dolph's crew was determined to make him feel the pain too. They almost doubled down on his family, even targeting his mom. Luckily, she managed to escape, but his brother Big Jook wasn't so fortunate. Ironically, Big Jook was attending a funeral when he met his own end. The day he was offed, he was paying his respects at a loved one's service. This act of violence was particularly brutal, sending a clear message. PRE artist Grove Hero had gone online after Dolph was murdered, claiming that it was Big Jook who put the $40,000 bounty on Dolph's head. Grove Hero had warned that it would be on site if he ever encountered Big Jook, and now it seemed like his words had turned into a grim reality.
Bro, I'm not bro. I ain't no tell me put 40 on my head and I'm finna do this, bro. Anybody that associate with you, and this ain't got nothing to do with them other folks, bro. It's Jook, and Gotti really ain't got nothing to do with these. But Jook is his brother. It's Jook, it's Migo, it's Youngster. These the folks that got something to do with.
And it looks like they were totally committed to catching Big Jook off guard. On January 13th, Anthony Mims, aka Big Jook, and his brother Gotti attended a farewell service for their relative, OG Eric Bolden. A video clip shared by YouTube journalist Seti Nash shows both of them paying their respects at the casket. According to Nash, who claims to have reliable information, there were two guys in the back of the church watching Big Jook closely, waiting for the perfect moment to catch him slipping. That moment came at the repass after the service, outside Perrian's restaurant and event center on Winchester Road. Gotti was lucky not to attend the repass. Otherwise, he might have met the same fate. Big Jook got into his vehicle, and it's rumored that Gotti's mom was also in the car. But that didn't stop the shooter from opening fire, spraying bullets at Big Jook and another person in the car. Miraculously, Gotti's mom managed to escape the vehicle and run for her life, avoiding the fatal shooting. Big Jook was rushed to the hospital, but sadly, he didn't make it. Onlookers and surveillance footage captured a white SUV with no license plates speeding away from the scene, and now the police are on the lookout for that vehicle.
Tonight, police are looking for a white Ford Explorer SUV in connection with the shooting. It has dark tinted windows and black wheels. A witness told police they saw suspects in the SUV speeding away.
This all seemed to come full circle with Big Jook. After Dolph's murder, Jook was one of those always mocking Dolph. In one clip, he was seen making fun of Dolph's death and taunting his artists about joining CMG for money. In another video, he disrespected Dolph while filming a mural of him. As more information surfaced, it became even more evident that these K-ings weren't random. They were all connected to Dolph's assassination. Video footage surfaced showing Big Jook chilling with CEO TZ, who was reportedly involved in Dolph's murder. They were seen hanging out together at Jook's birthday party, showing how tight they were. But that's not all. Big Jook was also seen in photos with Hernandez Govan, the man authorities claim orchestrated Dolph's hit. With these connections, it's no wonder people are saying that if Yo Gotti isn't careful, he might be next in line. Everyone knows about the infamous beef between Yo Gotti and young Dolph. This rivalry goes way back and has had serious consequences. Yo Gotti was Memphis's brightest rap star until young Dolph came onto the scene. In 2014, after releasing his mixtape, High Class Street Music 4, American Gangster, young Dolph appeared on Sway in the Morning to discuss the project. During the interview, Dolph explained his decision not to sign a record deal with Yo Gotti, stating that he wanted to invest in himself rather than join another artist movement.
People like, oh, he popped off because of Gotti. You feel what I'm saying? Which I can't do that because I got too much of my own time and money invested in it. You feel what I'm saying? So, like I said, like...
And I know Gotti respect that because he did the same thing.
This decision reportedly offended Yo Gotti and became the root of their beef. On February 11th, 2016, Dolph sent a subliminal shot at his Memphis counterpart on Twitter, alleging that Yo Gotti wasn't happy with his growing success. He tweeted, "Bro went from being my #1 fan and wanting to sign me to being my biggest hater," referring to Gotti's failed attempt to sign Dolph to his CMG label. In February 2016, Dolph raised a few eyebrows when he announced that his debut album would be titled King of Memphis. Yo Gotti had often referred to himself as the King of Memphis, so Dolph's album title seemed like a direct shot at Gotti. The friction between the two rappers intensified on March 2nd, 2017, when Gotti's CMG artist Black Youngsta posted a clip on Instagram disparaging Dolph and questioning his claim of being the King of Memphis. Black Youngsta also threatened to slap young Dolph. He then upped the ante by showing up in young Dolph's South Memphis neighborhood with a few of his goons, capturing the scene on video while armed with heavy artillery.
Right now, cuz. Right now, cuz. What Dolph at, cuz? Where he at, cuz? Where he at? Where he at right now? Where he at? Where he at?
Despite this, Yo Gotti later claimed that he hadn't asked Youngsta to take these actions. The beef escalated as the rappers released diss tracks aimed at each other. The situation took a violent turn when young Dolph's car was shot at multiple times. Fortunately, Dolph was unscathed due to the SUV he was riding in being bulletproof. However, he wouldn't be so lucky the second time. Young Dolph was shot outside of the Shoe Palace, and news broke that Yo Gotti was named a person of interest by the LAPD. Sources said that both Yo Gotti and young Dolph were staying at the Lowe's Hotel at the time of the shooting, and members of their entourages got into an argument that escalated into a fistfight and then gunfire, leaving Dolph wounded. Yo Gotti was charged with attempted murder in connection to the incident, but the charges were later dropped. However, it seems the streets never forgot, as Yo Gotti keeps losing people around him. Now, as much as the streets handled things in their own way, thankfully, the justice system also stepped in. The two men accused of K-ing young Dolph were eventually caught and brought to trial. And let me tell you, the trial itself was nothing short of dramatic. Let's break it down. Justin Johnson, also known as the rapper Straight Drop, was the first one to appear. He's accused of being the driver of the white Mercedes that trailed Dolph's camo Corvette to Makeda's Cookies in South Memphis. His co-defendant, Cornelius Smith, allegedly jumped out of the car and opened fire on Dolph with a Draco, while Justin followed closely behind with a handgun. An autopsy would later reveal that Dolph had been shot 22 times.
Say y'all?
Yeah, that's us right there.
Stop it here.
It's me.
Can you stop it? All right. We're gonna have a guy out of the car. Who's that?
It's me.
That's you? Which one of the guns do you have?
I got the new Draco stab gun.
Okay, that's that semi-automatic weapon, is that right?
What makes this even more tragic is that Dolph wasn't alone during the attack. His brother Marcus Thornton was with him in the store when the shots rang out. The shooters were so fixated on K-ing Dolph that they didn't even bother to target Marcus. That gave Marcus the chance to draw his own gun and return fire, hitting both Justin and Cornelius. As they tried to flee, Marcus kept up the pursuit, emptying his gun and grabbing another from Dolph's Corvette to keep firing at the getaway car. Justin got grazed in the back by a bullet and Cornelius was hit in the leg.
Watch the rest of the video here. Did y'all see Marcus getting a second gun from his car?
Nah, but when we pulled up.
On the first day of the trial, things got even more intense when Cornelius, who has now turned into a cooperating witness, testified against Justin. Cornelius's story is a sad one. He admitted to struggling with addiction after losing his 9-year-old son just 3 months before the EMDR.
I lost my son in March of 2020.
Okay.
He was 9 at the time.
And that had an impact on everybody?
Yes, sir.
To cope with the pain, he turned to ecstasy and oxycodone, and when he was promised money, he saw no other way out. He revealed in court that he didn't even know who young Dolph was, and that the day Dolph was offed was actually his daughter's birthday. Cornelius seemed like a man at the end of his rope, desperate for cash and easy to manipulate. In court, Cornelius identified both himself and Justin in surveillance footage from the day of the EMDR. When asked how many times he shot Dolph, Cornelius couldn't say for sure and admitted that all he was thinking about at the time was the money. Then came the bombshell. Cornelius testified that Big Jook, Gotti's older brother and a high-ranking member of CMG, Collective Music Group, had put the $100,000 bounty on Dolph.
Had a hit on Dolph's head or whatnot, so.
How do you know that Big Jook had a hit on Dolph's head?
I could quit had told me about it.
How much money was it supposed to be?
$100,000 on Dolph's head.
And had you agreed to do this hit?
Yes, sir.
Had Justin agreed to do this hit?
Yes, sir.
It turns out that a man named Hernandez Govan, who was connected to CMG, played a key role in arranging the hit. Justin was desperate to blow up in the rap game, and he thought that taking out Dolph would get him in good with CMG. Hernandez, knowing how to exploit the situation, took advantage of Cornelius, feeding his drug habit and using him as a pawn in the plot. The plan itself was cold-blooded. Cornelius knew that Dolph would be in the neighborhood because of his annual turkey giveaway, an event where Dolph would give back to his community by handing out free turkeys to those in need. But rather than caring about the volunteers or families in attendance, the Kiaiers only saw it as the perfect opportunity to strike. They spotted Dolph's camo-wrapped Corvette while he was driving through town and decided to follow him, waiting for the right moment to ambush him outside Makeda's Cookies. After young Dolph was EMDR'd, Justin Johnson reportedly FaceTimed Big Jook and, using sign language, spelled out Dolph's name to let Jook know they had carried out the hit. According to Cornelius, Jook promised they'd see each other soon and that payments would be on the way. The plan was to pay Hernandez Govan $20,000 for organizing the hit and to give $40,000 each to Justin and Cornelius. That was supposed to total $100,000, but things didn't go as expected.
I'll be giving Quid $10,000 apiece.
All right, so you and him were going to give Govan $10,000 apiece?
Yeah.
And how much were you going to get?
I was getting 40, he was getting 40.
Okay.
Instead of the promised payout, Cornelius testified in court that he only received $800. After he got arrested, his lawyer was paid $50,000 by Big Jook, but the shooters were left hanging. At this point, everyone tied to Dolph's EMDR has been arrested. Justin's brother Jamarcus became the 4th person charged in the case for helping Justin escape after the shooting. He's already pled guilty to 3 counts of accessory after the fact and is looking at a 6 to 12-year sentence. Justin, Hernandez, and Cornelius, on the other hand, are all facing serious charges with overwhelming evidence against them. With Cornelius flipping and testifying as the main witness, it's highly likely that life sentences are coming for both Justin and Hernandez. The prosecution has been clear with Cornelius, though. Just because he's cooperating doesn't mean he's off the hook. He's still going to prison no matter what. One of the most disturbing parts of Cornelius's testimony was when he admitted that the day he helped off Dolph was also his daughter's birthday. When the prosecutor asked him, "You went and offed a man on your daughter's birthday?" Cornelius replied, "I was trying to make it rain for her. I wanted to make it a beautiful day for her." Instead of being a father to his 5 kids and spending time with his daughter, Cornelius, a man strung out on drugs, shot down a Memphis legend for just $800 and a promise that never came through. By now, it's pretty clear that no one's untouchable, especially when it comes to the people who loved and respected Dolph. They're ready to do whatever it takes to get revenge on anyone tied to his EMDR, and the bodies that have been dropping might just be the start. Word on the streets is there have already been countless killings over Dolph that haven't even come to light yet. It really makes you wonder if the people involved in his death still think it was worth it. Street hits might seem like a win at first, but they always end in loss and heartbreak.